Good day, everyone, and welcome to Sir Art Classroom on YouTube. And today we will be discussing about how to plan an enterprise. Okay, so what is a business plan for? So, entrepreneur who plan to enter any business endeavor must have a business plan on hand to guide them throughout the process. There are business plans written prior to setting up an enterprise, which are similar to a pre-feasibility study and a feasibility study. Different business plans are prepared for different purposes. Many new enterprises need to convince prospective business investors about the soundness and potential of their business. They need to convey the capabilities and competencies of their owners and managers. They must also be able to sell the proponent and the business proposition to this audience. These are the situations when a good business plan is needed. Okay, so we have a format of a good business plan. Of course, we have the introduction. Under that, we have the business concept in the business model. Also, we have the business goals. We have the vision, mission, objectives, and performance target. We also have the business offering and justification. The second part is the executive summary. The third part is the business proponent, the organizers with their capabilities. Also, the fourth part is the target customers and the main value proposition to the customer. Then we have the market, then the market justification based on the industry dynamics and the macro environment factors affecting the opportunities and threats in the market, the size, potential, and realistic share of the market. The sixth part is the product and service offering, the enterprise strategy and enterprise delivery systems, the business competitiveness. Then, the eighth part is the financial forecast and expected returns, risks, and contingencies. We also have the environmental and regulatory compliance. And the last part is the capital structure and financial offering, returns and benefits to the investors, financiers, and business partners. Okay, so let's proceed now to the content of a business plan. Now, for the business concept and the business model. Now, a business concept contains the essence of the enterprise in a concise but powerful manner. It stresses the value of the product offering to the target customers who would most likely buy it. The product concept must then be translated into a business model. Now, a business model is a formula on how the enterprise exactly plans to make money out of the business. So we have the second part is the business goals. So we have the vision, mission, the objectives, and performance targets. Sige. Now, the business goal shows the future and long-term prospects of the enterprise. Now, it is composed of the vision, the mission, the objectives, the key result areas, and performance indicators of the enterprise. For the objectives, it must be more specific than the vision and mission statements. They should be measurable, achievable, and time-bounded. Now, the key result areas must be rendered into quantified performance measurements, otherwise called performance indicators. These performance indicators, or PIs, serve as the aspirational scoreboard of the enterprise managers and the motivational results of the investors. However, the PIs must actually be credible to the business audience and in mind. Now, we have the second, or the executive summary. Now, the executive summary contains everything that is relevant and important to the business audience. So, it is a synthesis of the entire plan, meaning it is summary. Now, the executive summary should then introduce and highlight the good qualities of, number one, the business proponents and their partners. Number two, the enterprise organization in its capabilities. Number three, the technology providers in their expertise and experience. And of course, the suppliers and all the major service providers. Now, the executive summary should then proceed to discuss and justify the enterprise strategy and enterprise delivery system. It should then render all the major institutional, market, operations, and organizational strategies previously cited into financial strategies and forecasts. Investments requirements should be presented along with the summaries of the projected income statement, balance sheet, cash flows, and funds flow, and their analysis and conclusions. Yield and returns, along with risks and contingency measures, should round up this section. Now, what is enterprise strategy? It builds and develops the game plan for attaining competitiveness. So the enterprise delivery system is the entire process of converting input or the resources into output and these outputs into outcomes. The executive summary should present the capital structure of the proposed business and show how this structure will respond to the investment programs and financial forecast of the enterprise. However, the executive summary can only be written last in order to capture the findings and insights of other parts. But for presentation purposes, it is placed in the first part of the business plan. The next part is the business proponents. The four types of stakeholders we have: number one, the resource mobilizers and financial backers. These stakeholders want to know who else are on board to share the burden of raising money to see the whole thing through. Number two is the technology providers and applicators who wants to know if there will be sufficient funds to pay for the technology. Then we have the operating and support team who wants to know what programs, activities, tasks, and resources would be in place. And the last stakeholder is the governance and top management, who wants to know what strategies and performance indicators are being proposed. Okay, so we have the next part of the business plan, the target customers in the main value proposition. Knowing where the target customers are exactly concentrated, the business plan should then pinpoint what the customers buy, how they buy, and when they buy, where they buy, and what convinces them to buy. This information should then be used to justify the exact locations and marketing channels to be employed by the enterprise. Now, the market demand and supply industry dynamics and macro environmental factors is the fifth section of the business plan. The business plan should estimate the total market supply and demand for the product offerings of the enterprise. Then the business plan should then determine the major critical factors that influence this market demand and supply. Now, the market analysis and forecasting exercise should be led to quantification of the current and prospective size of the market. Both the current and potential consumption should then be dissected. The business plan should discuss the relevant industry dynamics, who are the competing enterprises in the industry and what are their comparative advantages and disadvantages, what business models and strategies they're employing, who are the suppliers in the industry and what are their capabilities in bargaining power, and what are the channels of distribution being used by the industry, then how effective are those channels. Okay, so we have the social environment. This includes the demographic and cultural dimensions that govern the relevant entrepreneurial behavior, the structure, the social status, and dynamics of the population at large, as well as the people's beliefs, tastes, mores, customs, and traditions dictate the major parameters of market behavior. Both the industry players in the market are affected by the macro environment, which include the social, political, the economic, the ecological, and technological forces, or the SPIT. The business plan should discuss the major trends and changing patterns in the macro environment, which have significant impacts on the relevant industry and the behavior of customers. So we have already discussed about social environment. The next one, we have the political environment. So it defines the governance system of the country or the local area of business. It includes all the laws, the rules, and regulations on allowable and disallowable business practices. The next one, we have the economic environment. It's mainly driven by supply and demand forces. It is the same factors that drives the interest and foreign exchange rates to fluctuate with the movement of the market. Then we have the ecological environment. It includes all natural resources and ecosystem that defines the habitat of man, animals, plants, and minerals. And the last one of the SPIT is the technological environment, which makes or breaks competing participants in any industry. New scientific and technological discoveries often lead to the launch and commercialization of new products with superior attributes or to rendering the old ones obsolete. The next section is the product or service offering, the description, the evolution, and justification. Now, this is the sixth section of the business plan. Now, the products or services must be described, highlighting the features and attributes that would most appeal to the target customers. The business plan should also prove that the product or services would be accepted and carried by the distribution channels. So we have the enterprise strategy and enterprise delivery system. So we have the input or the resources mobilized. Then we have the throughput, the transformation of process, or the transformation process where inputs are converted to output, and the output, which is the products or the services. Then we have the financial forecast, expected returns, risk, and contingencies. Okay? So we have here, so from the financial forecast, the business plan should then calculate the expected returns from the business. The important return calculations are the following. So we have expected returns on sales, then expected returns on asset and or investments, and then the expected returns on stockholders' equity. Now, the business plan should also calculate the long-term returns using the time value of money. This means estimating the internal rate of return and the expected net present value. The business plan should then evaluate both the business risk and the financial risk involved. Now, we have the environmental and regulatory compliance section. This is the ninth part of the business plan. It must articulate the laws, the rules, and regulation governing the business and the industry that the enterprise is in. It should ascertain that all the necessary permits, licenses, and authority to use proprietary intellectual capital had either been secured or would definitely be secured. The business plan should also assure the render or the reader that all the necessary local government ordinances and barangay ethics would be followed by the enterprise. Okay, so thank you very much and God bless. Keep safe, everyone, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel, Sir Art Classroom. Thank you and good day, everyone.